Welcome back to this episode of Sound and Communications Viewpoint. I am Mario Maltese, the CEO of Audiovisual Resources. I'm here with John Lopinto, the CEO and President of Communications Specialties. At the last episode of Standards, we spoke about what about the bottom line, the impact of the bottom line of standards. John, do you have a couple of examples? Maybe
yes, thank you, Mario. Let's take the example, especially now that fiber optics are starting to become more widespread use in our industry. There are approximately 3 different fiber optic connectors that are in widespread use with no standardization as to which one the industry should use or at least prefer. It costs about $75 to have a contractor terminate a connector. A typical installation may use 50 pairs of fiber optic transmitter and receivers for video or audio, whatever the case may be. That's 100 different connectors. If the wrong connector is specified on that equipment, and as a result the wrong connector being terminated onto the fiber cable prior to the delivery of that equipment, once you get the equipment together with the fiber cable on site and find out now that it's wrong and have to go back and re-terminate all of those connectors, at $75 a piece, that's about $7,500 that most likely the system integrator will have to absorb. Okay? That could wipe out his profit or close to it for the job. That's the direct cost. Mm-hmm. The indirect cost is the loss of goodwill with the customer, the time it takes to do that, the risk of adding contaminants into the fiber cable as a result of having to re-terminate. It's an enormous impact. And that's just one very simple example of not having a standard for one specific type of connector.
Well, certainly I could see that as far as the standard specifications for connectors. What about standards within a company, standard procedures? Even if there were no standard procedures, every company is different. Do you get a benefit by having internal standard procedures?
Absolutely, because you end up manufacturing product that is consistent in its performance. Whatever that specified performance is, by having standardized procedures for testing product over time, not just every product within a production run, you make sure that all of the product that is delivered to the customer behaves identically. Many times in our industry, we order multiples of the same product, and they must all behave the same because you never know how they're going to be installed on site. So by having a manufacturer have standardized test procedures, what we call acceptance test procedures, and as well as testing them over temperature and over time, it allows consistency to take place, which lowers the bottom line for the manufacturer because he has less recall of product, and at the same time lowers the cost, and increases the bottom line for the installer and the end user.
You're a manufacturer on Long Island, New
Correct.
York.
Yes.
Okay. So I think I can appreciate how difficult it would be if you didn't control your cost by standards.
And we have to compete with manufacturers from all over the world.
Sure.
China, their labor rates are 5 cents on the dollar compared to what they are here. Right. On Long Island, we pay a premium, if you will, because of our overhead costs living on Long Island. But it's very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah, I agree. We took the internal procedures to the point of ISO 9001-2000 about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. That's a quality management system procedure. So that's an auditable standard. So that that means roughly that a third party can come in, audit you, and verify that you are indeed following procedures in your company that is meant to be customer focused as well as continual improvement.
Yeah, it's important though to communicate what the end effect is to the end user or the system integrator, the people down the line. As manufacturers, as system integrators, it's good that we have these internal procedures, but it's important to help the end user or who's ever buying the equipment at the end of the day to make sure that they ask for these types of things to try to understand and demand some sort of assurance or certification on the part of who their vendors are. Sure. To make sure that they're not going to run in, or at least minimize the probability of running into problems down the road.
You know, John, talking about that buying equipment, I think it's a good time to take a break to go to those people who do buy equipment. Again, I'm Mario Maltese, Audiovisual Resources. I'm here with John Lopinto of Communications Specialties.
The Crestron MPS integrates 5 separate AV components into a single rack-mountable package. MPS brings a complete presentation control and signal routing solution to boardrooms, classrooms, and auditoriums. MPS works right out of the box and may be controlled directly from the front panel. MPS from Crestron.